Welcome to Janice Edwards TV, Bay Area Vista. I'm so glad that you're joining us here today. You know, today our guests are celebrating connection, community. And our first guest is the legendary broadcaster. She's known as the voice of the Giants, the voice of the Bay, and I'm proud to say she's also my friend. The incomparable Renel is with us. Hello, Nell. Thank you.
Hi, Jan. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. And this is the way we see each other safely these days, of course.
Yes.
So, you know, one of the first things I know you, and all of us know you, and I've been places with you where people say, oh, it's Renel, they'll hear your voice. And all of a sudden, the whole atmosphere changes because of how you've touched hearts, your dedication, all that you do, and of course, making history, Giants announcer, and in so many ways. But if someone were to ask you, who is Renel? What would you say?
She is an activist. She is a freedom fighter. She is a loving wife, sister, daughter, friend. She is really grateful every day that she gets to do what she loves for a living, and that she is able to use her voice to amplify issues and causes that she feels passionate about. That's who she is.
And that's true. All of that is so true. And let's go back a little bit to when you first recognized that this was what you wanted to do, to touch people through your gift and your voice. How did you get from having that dream to living the dream and making it your reality?
Well, you know, Jan, I often tell this story that this is a career that is a complete accident for me. You know, it's not something that I dreamt about as a little girl. As you know, we didn't see the women that look like us on television or hear them on the radio. So for me, it wasn't even possible. I've just been really fortunate that I had a lot of great mentors and colleagues that have really supported me along the way. But the story I like to tell the most about when I really found my voice, first when I went to Mills College, that opened up a whole new world of activism for me, and feminism and fighting social justice on that campus alone. Let's start right there, right. Back in the 70s. But when I first was on KMEL, when I was first on the morning show, the Morning Zoo, I got a letter from a middle schooler, beautiful, back in the day when there were handwritten letters, remember those, everybody? It was just the sweetest letter from a seventh grader inviting me to come and speak at Career Day. And I'm sure I have that letter in my memorabilia somewhere here in the house, but it just resonated for me that, wow, doing traffic and telling jokes on the radio actually has an impact on this little girl because she sees in me something that's possible for her to do, which I didn't have as a little girl. Right. And so that's when it all clicked for me. It's like, okay, your voice really does have power behind it. And I've been putting myself out there in the community, especially for kids, especially for young girls of color, ever since. And as you know, my parents were educators and my dad was a trailblazer in his own right. So, I get it from my dad. He was a community activist and educator. And I just watched my dad growing up, just doing it, out there, making the world a better place and really just putting it all on the line for his kids and his students and everything. So I initially got it from him. Right. But then when I found this career and that I was able to use my voice to inspire and encourage, that's when everything kind of just came together for me.
Yes. And I remember how funny your dad was too. I think your sense of humor, your mom's totally funny too, but your dad was hilarious. I mean, and that's
hilarious. He was so funny, but yeah, I am my father's daughter. This is his face. This is his voice, and everything that I loved doing with my dad as a little girl, I've been able to do for a living. We used to, listen to the radio and sing along and watch Ed Sullivan and, sports together. And here I am doing all of the stuff I loved doing with my dad. And I'm so grateful that he lived to see my first game at the ballpark in 2000.
Yes. Oh, and speaking of that, such an incredible moment because I think of so many things, knowing you through the years, how we've both grown and things have expanded in so many ways. But let's talk about that first day, especially because now this year, pandemic style, baseball, everything is different. But what was
Yeah.
that first day like?
It was exciting and exhilarating, but I was also very, very nervous. I was a nervous wreck because I was actually on the field for the pregame ceremony, hosting it on the field with, everybody watching on what was Comcast Sports Net, I think back then. It's now NBC Sports Bay Area, as you know, but
Yes.
40,000 fans in the ballpark, and then like a million fans watching at home. And I wasn't nervous about, I knew I could do this. I know this job. I know I'm skilled for this job. I know I can do this well. I was nervous about how the fan base was going to react and respond to me, because I'm the first woman of color, but I'm the second woman that the Giants hired. But as we all know, we have to work 2 times, 3 times, 4 times harder, to be accepted. So I was concerned about how the fan base was going to respond. I was also concerned about the crew that I worked with, how they were going to, respond and react to me, because I was the only woman in the department in 2000. So but once the mic goes on, or once the camera goes on, I'm in my happy place, but I was really concerned about how people were going to respond to me. I think the fact that so many Giants fans either grew up listening to me on the radio or knew me from the radio, and which I always talked about my love of baseball. And
Yes.
I think there was already a familiarity with a lot of fans initially, but I got heat in the press before I even said one word on the mic.
I remember.
It's like, can you wait?
I know. What were the haters saying then?
Well, it was like, she's a radio DJ. I hope she doesn't bring that, goofy morning show radio vibe to that effect, something to that effect. And I was like, okay, why would I do that? This is Major League Baseball. Right. It's not a shenanigans morning show. And B, I think I was hired because I'm qualified. And you're criticizing me, and I have yet to even say one word or announce one name or one defensive change on the microphone. But Jan, it was just like, that's why this year is so exhausting. It's like, how much more do we have to prove our worth and our value?
Exactly.
I just, if I was a white male DJ, I'm sure he would have gotten props, when the news happened, came out that he got hired. But no, I immediately get criticized and haven't done anything yet.
I know. There's so much that we continue to see. And of course, this will be up after the election. So there'll be so many more discussions after that. And we all hope that those will be more healing and unifying discussions, certainly after that.
Absolutely.
But I think that's one of the challenges that you've continually faced, that we face in this industry. We see it all the time. What helps you reset to that determination and that understanding, even when you see that things are unfair? What helps you continue to go forth in the way that you do?
Vodka?
There's a plug. We'll get a sponsor there.
Hello, Grey Goose. How you doing? Hi, Belvedere. How are you? Well, I mentioned my parents, and and even my husband reminds me. He's like, you are not facing nearly the adversity that your parents face, and you're in this position for a reason. It always comes back to my purpose. And even when I was on the radio and all the nonsense I dealt with management, again, I wasn't treated the same as Don Blue or any of my white male counterparts, right? Certainly didn't make as much money as them. But for me, it's the 4 hours on the radio. It's the hours of preparing the show and producing the show and making sure that I am serving my audience in the best way possible with information and entertainment. So when when I'm on the air, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about management. I'm thinking about how can I best serve my audience? When I'm at the ballpark, how do I best serve the fans in my role at the ballpark? So, it always comes back to that. And then getting the letters from, the little girls, and, it's that stuff that keeps me going. Trust me, I have cried many, many tears over the last 35 years.
Yes.
But I look to my dad, especially. I look to my parents, and I understand that I have been given, through the grace of God, this position for a reason. So I eventually find my way back to my purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's resilience, grace, and grit. It's like those are the things that we continue to look to, and God for
Yes.
find blessings in that. I remember it was so much fun. How many, 20 some years ago, at least, maybe longer now. We have to stop counting sometimes, right? when I did the interview with you and Tommy about your love story and how you came together and just that. And during times like this, like the pandemic, some couples are finding that, oh my goodness, we're spending more time together than we ever have. And it's a challenge. And then others are feeling like, oh my gosh, thank God it's you. Thank God it's you, and we're here in it together. So what kind of adjustments have you two had to make during these unprecedented times, as they continue to say?
Yeah, I have to say that it's especially at the beginning of shelter in place, it was a real gift, because baseball season is year round for me. And it's a lot of work, and I'm not home a lot. It's, in a normal season, it's, 81 home games plus season ticket member events, or my TV show Forever Giants, or, hosting events, corporate events at the ballpark. I mean, I'm always working. So it was a gift to be home with him, because that doesn't happen from April to September. Wow. So it was a real gift. We spent a lot of time in the hot tub, if I may share that.
Yes, we need to know these things. It's couples goals, right? Relationship goals, right?
A lot of time in the hot tub, which was fantastic. We watched movies and TV shows together, and, just stuff we never get to do. So it was a real gift. And then, especially since I didn't know what my job was going to look like, right, when everything shut down. And I was like, I didn't know if we were going to have a baseball season, how it was going to work. So I had like a couple of months of just really, we were hanging out and everything, but then all of the events that I would normally do in person became virtual. That's the way we're all working now. So then I just started getting all this work. And he has become, sorry, the doorbell's ringing right now.
Speaking of work.
I know, right? He has become my Spike Lee, I call him, for all my virtual events. He's like, there was 2 weeks where Amazon was just delivering equipment and every day, right? So he's like my director, my set designer, my lighting guy, my cameraman. So that's been really fun to kind of work together with him on that. That's something we could have never seen happening. So that's been really fun. Yeah, so we did okay. We did okay.
That's great. And I know those are the perks of it. And speaking of the season, of course, we saw the Dodgers, and I'm sure, and you think about the manager who made that play to pull the pitcher out, just all of those things. But how was that for you? Because obviously you would have wanted the Giants to be in that position.
Yeah, we were in it almost right up until the end of the season. Even though, it was actually really a surprise, because we didn't expect the team to be that competitive this year, as we're in the process of rebuilding. And they really played really well. And we were right kind of in the hunt for that second wild card until the end of the season. It was even though it was a shortened season, we only did 30 home games. It felt like we did 80 home games. It really did. But it was really challenging. We had to get COVID tested every week. We had to get our temperature taken before we went in the ballpark. We had to park in a different place. I could only go to the broadcast level. I usually have access to the whole ballpark. We were all like in our own little bubbles, within the ballpark. I'm separated by, shower curtains with our producer that sits to my right and the DJ and the engineer that is behind me. It was a lot. But also, what was challenging for me and continues to be challenging for me is we don't have a Black player. We did at the beginning of the season, but he was then sent to the alternate site in Sacramento. There's no Black player, there's no Black coach. Okay. So I don't want to overstate it, but I became, after George Floyd, the Black face of San Francisco Giants baseball. In addition to trying to adjust to, the new normal at the ballpark, I was called upon to do several interviews and videos and panels about, first of all, the delayed response from MLB. I believe they were the last sport to come out and make a statement in support of Black Lives Matter. Pretty sure I'm right on that. It took them at least 8 days. Even NASCAR spoke up before Major League Baseball. And so finally, I just had to get on Twitter and I was like, excuse me, the League of Jackie Robinson, where are you? Where are you? I need to hear from you. And that tweet just went all over the place. And now everybody's like, can we talk to you about it? Can we talk to you about it? And then our manager, Gabe Kapler, becomes the first manager in any professional sport to take a knee during the anthem.
Yes. Yeah.
Now they want to talk to me again. So I had all of that to deal with as well, because of course I'm going to answer every request because it's just me.
Right.
Sadly, there's no player. Sadly, there's no coach. It's just me, and I have to speak up and be honest about it. And also after George Floyd was murdered, the Giants management, I had several Zoom calls with them, and really having the hard conversations there, about how I've been treated there for 20 years, what they can do better. So and as you know, Jan, it's just exhausting.
Yes.
It's exhausting and that's what I told these folks. I told them, I said, first of all, you have to understand this is exhausting. Every time we see another Black man or woman unarmed and murdered by the cops, that's trauma for us.
Yes.
It's repeated trauma for us, and having to talk about it all the time, it is exhausting. And these are conversations that I had tried to have with them for 20 years, but nobody was listening. But now they think they need to listen and everything. So that made the whole 2 months of a season incredibly exhausting and so challenging.
Right. And thank God you were there with your voice, because like you said, there's the duality of living that we have, and having seen so many things. And then unbelievably, after George Floyd, still seeing others. And there's something inside that rages and looks at the incomprehensibility of this. And it is great now that people are listening and that there are allies, even while others are tone deaf. But with that listening, it's still an opportunity to say, and how do you care for yourself as an activist? I'll never forget interviewing Myrlie Evers Williams, and when she talked about her husband's, Medgar Evers, and his assassination. And she said, what people don't talk about in the civil rights movement is the exhaustion and the self-sacrifice. She talked about, and it was, I always remember this interview. At that time, she was head of the NAACP, and she was married to her second husband. And she was saying how she didn't think about even marriage as couple comfort at that time. It was all about the civil rights. It was, the children and the civil rights movement, because it does take such sacrifice in that way. And now, because of everything that we know, we also recognize the toll that being an activist can take on you personally, and having to balance that with the need that is there when people look to you, for you to have the courage to stand up, and for you to say, okay, because I'm the Black voice right now, the Giants. When are there going to be others? What are we doing now to make sure that others are included? And
That's right.
so it's like your calling is pulling you in even greater directions now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. There was one conversation I had, and I remember telling Tommy when I got off the phone, I said, I just heard my dad's voice coming out of my mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, I just, because it's been so challenging and so hard. When I had that one conversation, and I was like, Nathaniel, he was completely taking care of me in that conversation. He had wrapped his arms around me and gave me the words to say. I felt my daddy's voice
Yeah.
coming to me, coming out of me. It was amazing. But yeah, it is. It's really, really challenging. It's been a challenging year for everybody in so many ways. And, I've
Yes.
also been trying to encourage. I was honored to be the ambassador for the giant race this year, which was virtual.
Yeah.
I was the first lady ambassador because it's usually a player or a coach. And that gave me an opportunity to really help everybody focus on not just their physical well-being, but their mental well-being as well. It's like you don't have to run the race. You don't have to run a marathon. Just get out and walk, do what you can, go as far as you can, but just get out of the house and get some fresh air.
Yes.
And how exercise can really, be so healing for us.
Absolutely.
So I was really honored about that and being able to do that. But yeah, it's so tiring. But and self-care is really important. And I have to say, I used to be so great at it, but it's like all of my resources are shut down now, right? I can't
I
go as
know
Dirk
you can't.
Williams, right?
Right. You
Can't get a massage and a
right.
facial.
Yeah.
Thank goodness the nail salon's back open, so a lot of those things were kind of taken away, but we all have to find our new normal. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had a really hard time this year,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I know it is hard. And that's the thing too, because I was just reading something about how when we're under this kind of stress, and I was talking with friends about cortisol, it's not just pandemic baking, but it's like the cortisol of stress. It'll affect the stomach and everything else. It's that we are not accustomed to living with this ongoing stress, and now seeing this third wave and and just all of the things that could be done to help make things better that were not done, and what that brings out too. And so, like you said, now in this time of self-care and awareness and speaking out and encouraging people in every way to make your voice heard. We were railing for people to vote before the election and all of those things. It's that this is something that on every level, with every cell of our body, we are experiencing in ways that we were not prepared for. So how do we continue to do that when when we don't have touch? Some people not at all. Some,
Oh,
some in the bubble, but holidays coming up and
oh,
all of these things. And so there's a grief that's there too.
that's
And
right.
there's the importance of looking to every resource that we know to help us become as resilient as possible. I started out saying you're all about connection and celebration and community. And that's what's so incredible about the gift of who you are and the importance of us coming together in those ways. Because of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and thinking of our dear friend Faith, I reposted some of the videos from the last celebration from Friends of Faith. And I just remember her being an activist in that way, how she brought us all together
Yeah,
during that unbelievable time of her life in sacrifice to say, this is important. It
yeah,
matters. Others matter. And we continue to look at how can we help others doing
yeah.
that. And you do that in so many ways. It was wonderful to see you some years back at London Breed's inauguration, just the
Oh,
different ways of moments of history that touch our lives and remind us of the importance of having a voice, being active. And this is really the business of your life, if you will. I mean, a lot of times when we think about business too, we think about just in a certain realm. But having done what you've continued to do for all these years with the divine downloads of your precious daddy and your mom who's still with us in every way, you continue to remind people that your voice matters, that you matter. And it's important, even as you're being an activist, to also take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yes. Well, I thank you. It's wonderful to talk with you. We could go on and on and on, but I know we both have other things. But it's such a treat to just be able to say hello again after all these years. I think back to so many times of collaboration, working together. Your 10th anniversary event at Jeffries. Oh my gosh.
I know, right? That was amazing.
Yes, yes. All these years later, and that you are continuing to inspire. So thank you for all that you do. We certainly pray that by next Giant season, things will be a lot safer and
Yes.
a lot easier in that way. And we pray for healing of our world in so many arenas.
Amen to that. And thank you for all that you do. You are equally a warrioress, a warrior princess, and you do so much for the community, and your voice is equally as important. So thank you for everything that you do. And yeah, we go way back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we do.
Go way, way back.
Just love and blessings, and stay safe and stay well.
You too, my dear sister. Mwah.
Mwah. The legendary Renel. Thank you so much for joining us now.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. That's our show. I'm Janice Edwards. Thanks for all that you do to make our world a better place. It is so needed right now. You are essential. And if you'd like to reach out to us, thejaniceedwards.com is the website. care@thejaniceedwards.com is how you can reach our team so that we can help you zoom into a new level of production excellence. See you then.